There are certain bands that instantly transport me back to a completely different time the moment I hear the first couple of seconds of one of their songs. The All American Rejects are one of those bands. I don't even need to hear a full chorus before I'm already back in the late 2000s, sitting in front of my computer after school, scrolling through YouTube, playing games on my Xbox 360, or watching MTV while hoping one of their music videos would eventually come on. Whenever people talk about the biggest bands of that era, they usually mention Green Day, My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, or Blink-182. And while all those bands absolutely deserve their place, I always feel like the All American Rejects deserve to be mentioned alongside them. They may not have reached the same level of worldwide popularity as some of those bands, but they absolutely captured the feeling of the mid and late 2000s better than almost anyone else. They found a perfect balance between pop, rock, emo, and alternative music that made their songs appeal to pretty much everyone. Even people who normally weren't into rock music usually knew at least a handful of their songs because they were simply everywhere. Move Along, Dirty Little Secret, Gives You Hell, Swing Swing, or It Ends Tonight are songs that almost feel impossible to escape if you grew up during that period. They were constantly on the radio, featured in movies, TV shows, and video games, and always managed to fit whatever they appeared in. Every single one of their songs instantly reminds me of a very specific period in my life. One thing I always loved about the All American Rejects is how incredibly recognizable they are. Tyson Ritter has one of those voices where you instantly know who's singing after hearing only a few words. Plenty of bands from that era share a somewhat similar sound, but I never once confused the All American Rejects with anyone else. Their songs have this unique mix of catchy melodies and slightly melancholic lyrics that works every single time. Move Along is probably one of the best examples of this. Every time I hear it, I'm reminded why it became such a classic. The entire song constantly builds momentum without ever slowing down. It manages to sound hopeful while also acknowledging that life sometimes just sucks. I think a lot of people connected with that, especially teenagers growing up during the 2000s. Dirty Little Secret has a completely different vibe, but ends up being just as iconic. The opening guitar riff alone is enough for me to recognize the song immediately. It has that perfect mix of attitude and catchy songwriting that made so many alternative rock songs from that decade stand out. Even after hearing it hundreds of times, I never get tired of it. Then there's Gives You Hell, which became one of the biggest breakup songs ever written. I always found it hilarious how upbeat the entire song sounds, despite basically telling someone exactly what the title suggests. It feels sarcastic and almost playful instead of angry. When you see my face, hope it gives you hell, hope it gives you hell. One thing I think gets overlooked is just how consistent the All American Rejects were. Plenty of bands from the 2000s had one massive hit and then slowly faded away. The Rejects kept releasing songs that people actually remembered. They didn't constantly reinvent themselves or chase whatever trend happened to be popular at the time. Their music always sounded like the All American Rejects, regardless of which album it came from. Now where's your picket fence, love? I also love how they never felt overly manufactured. Looking back at the 2000s, there were quite a few bands that almost felt like products created to appeal to a certain audience. The All American Rejects always came across as genuine. Maybe that's because Tyson Ritter's personality shines through so much in the music, or because their songs have this slightly imperfect quality that makes them feel more human. Either way, they never felt fake to me. Their music videos are another reason why I associate them so strongly with that era. Back when MTV still mattered and YouTube was slowly becoming the place to discover new bands, their videos constantly showed up everywhere. I remember watching them over and over again simply because they had so much personality. They weren't trying to tell incredibly deep stories or impress everyone with expensive special effects. They were just entertaining and fit the songs perfectly. I also think timing played a huge role in why I remember them so fondly. They arrived during what I consider one of the best periods for alternative rock. It was an era where bands still dominated radio stations, MTV hadn't completely abandoned music yet, and video games constantly introduced people to entirely new artists. It felt much easier back then for a band to become part of everyday life without needing social media algorithms constantly pushing them. Listening to the All-American Rejects today almost feels like opening an old photo album. Every song unlocks another memory from a time where life felt much simpler. I don't even associate specific songs with specific events anymore. I associate them with an entire period of my life. The music instantly brings back the atmosphere, fashion and technology, and even the way the internet felt back then. I think that's ultimately what makes them legendary to me. Plenty of bands have technically better musicians, more complex songwriting, or bigger commercial success. None of that changes the fact that the All-American Rejects perfectly captured an entire generation's youth. Whenever I listen to them, I'm reminded why I loved the 2000s so much in the first place. And where's that shiny